Hey, everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins here on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel, checking in Wednesday night just after Dynamite ended. And for all those listening on the Fight Game Media free audio feed, I want to thank you all for supporting the site. Spread the word, get some more signups. It's all good. Jeff, I told you right before we went on the air that I had something I wanted to talk about, and I didn't even tell you what it was going to be. And usually we discuss this.
Is it a pony? Am I finally getting a pony? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, no. No, I want to talk about what happened on Saturday night. Matt, don't worry, we'll talk about this when we get to this. Don't worry. So on Saturday night, I watched Collision, and I watched it not live, but fairly close to live. Like, I think I started watching about half hour after it started. And then, like, I was going back and forth between the UFC and everything. And then I heard this kerfuffle about, the last half hour of the show isn't going to air. And then I'm wondering, well, is that going to happen in Canada? Because it airs on a different station up here. So, Black Adam shouldn't affect that. So I'm watching the show, and they're doing the Mongo tribute. And Tony Schiavone is literally mid-sentence, and it gets cut off. And, so I have time left in my PVR. I'm fast-forwarding. Commercial. I actually went back to see. There were 10 minutes of commercials. And then it was some random show that I don't even know what it was. It definitely wasn't Black Adam. It was some...
Well, you got lucky then, because Black Adam stinks.
Well, this was like a reality show about trucks in Alaska or something. I don't know what the hell it was, but I never got to see the last half hour of the show. And I'm not going to be bothered to go try to find it. I taped the show. I watched it. If you can't bother to air it, that's on you, not on me. But apparently some stuff happened on that show, on that last half hour. I guess the Sons of Texas must have won a match to get a title shot. I didn't know. They showed up for this promo. I had no idea. They didn't tell me. Like, they didn't.
They were on Dynamite last week.
Yeah, they said they were going to be wrestling, so I figured that would happen on this show. I didn't know what happened on Collision. They didn't tell us.
Did you get to see Big Bill and Brian Keith versus the Gates of Agony? That
should have been for a title shot.
That was fun.
Why didn't they get a title shot for winning that match?
Did you see Harley smacking Anna Jay's ass?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah,
okay.
Saw that.
That was fun.
I think there was something with Chris and Willow that I missed. And
this thing will never effing end.
I know.
I'm so sick of this frenemies, friends, because I have no emotional investment because I don't care. But they're gonna end up back together again, right?
I would assume either that or somebody's gonna turn. But Willow's probably gonna get hurt in this Anarchy match anyway, so it probably won't matter.
Oh, because she just re-signed? Is that what you're saying?
No. And by the way, don't get me wrong. Sorry, I'm not wishing her to get hurt. I'm not predicting doom.
I didn't say you wished her to get hurt.
What I'm saying is, and I'm not even saying, like, I'm saying she'll probably get hurt in storyline. Like, like she's going to be in this brutal match. She's probably should be out a while. Is what I'm saying. Like, I hope she's not on Dynamite next week, is what I'm saying. I'm not hoping, but you know what I mean. There was that. I don't think that there was much else.
Paul, you don't need to convince me that you have good intentions when you say things. Okay. It's other dumb people.
I just wanted people not to think that I was predicting a legit injury or wishing for one or anything like that. Matt asked if this was the best go-home show in company history. I don't know. I mean,
that's an interesting curve to judge.
I was going to say it's a pretty low bar, and Matt made that comment in the Discord as well, so he might be right. Someone in the Discord made the comment they should air this go home show as a study on how go home shows should be done.
All right.
That may be a little far, but I did like the effort. I don't recall the last time, and apparently it's happened before, but I don't remember it, when they only had 3 matches on the Dynamite. Like that was yeah. And I'm wondering how the people that want it to be less like WWE are going to think about that. To me, it didn't, like, that part doesn't bother me at all. Like, they gave a lot of time.
I like build.
Yeah.
But the problem was that this was all the build, I think, for most of these matches.
Well, I did make the point, and I'm curious of what anyone thinks, and maybe somebody will come up with an example, but I can't recall a pay-per-view world title match with less build and feeling less important than Toni and Mina Shirakawa. Like, I mean, that match was made last week, and then this week she gets a win over Julia Hart, and that's it. Like, that's all the build we've had.
Yeah. I mean, it was a quote unquote title eliminator, and then it's like, okay, so you get your title match right now. Great. Congrats.
Yeah, like, I mean, there is a history there between those two, and Toni tried to talk about it, but she's also busy making jokes. So, John, no. And well, first of all, I'm not talking about WWE. I'm talking about AEW. And WWE's done this a lot. So I'm not talking about WWE, but Jake Paul and Jey Uso has way more setup than this because they were
there were 3 or 4 weeks of setup for that. You can't.
People thought it was going to be on the last pay-per-view already. Like, this literally started right after WrestleMania. It was like the week after WrestleMania.
We kind of alluded to this pre-show.
Yeah.
It did what we've been asking them to do.
Yep.
I just don't know if it did it in the right way in a lot of these. I mean,
I think some of it hit and some of it missed.
Like the Anarchy in the Arena overrun missed for me because I'm just like, save it for the stage, guys. I mean, it was fine to, do like a mini hardcore match right now, but it's like, okay, but are you gonna top this somehow? I hope.
They could have accomplished that by just saving the All-Star Trios match for the main event and then doing everything they did after the match after the main event. I thought that would have been better. We essentially got the same segment twice.
My consistent problem with the Anarchy in the Arena builds are kind of like late stage WCW War Games builds.
Okay.
In that there's no real stakes to the Anarchy in the Arena. There's nothing to be won by any of it, but we've had this problem for the last, I think, 3 years where we have quote unquote Team AEW versus whatever conglomeration of the Young Bucks are involved in
or
match.
Or again, we've had, Inner Circle against whoever Inner Circle's feuding with, or BCC.
Yeah, but that was fine. But they feuded for a while, as opposed to like kind of like this assortment of people where it's like we're alluding to certain power structures within the company, but there's nothing really at stake for the winner here. I mean,
okay, I'll agree with you there. I'll push back a little bit on is that these teams have been feuding. Like, you can't say these groups haven't been feuding for
no. They've just kind of been. I mean, they've been feuding, but they've kind of been in the ring with each other. But then again, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think what is it? The Death Riders taking out Shibata and other members of the Ops is fine. It's just one of those things.
Well, the weird thing is they took them out and then they're back before they even do the match because Shibata's in the match. I don't know if you realize that. Like, they put the teams up. Some people missed it, but the teams were up on a graphic. Finally, we got the teams, and we'll talk about that later. And there's one notable omission from the teams that we'll also talk about. But I think he'll be involved in the match. And that's I'm with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Jeremy points this out. After the ending with Gabe Kidd being called a mercenary, there's no way to convince me Eddie Kingston is a surprise equalizer in Anarchy in the Arena. Like, I don't think he's going to be in the match, but I think he's going to show up. And we'll talk about
showing
that.
Up too, so yeah.
Who's that? Who?
I think Hook's showing up too.
I hope not.
Probably to take out Gabe Kidd. I don't know. I mean,
no, that's what Eddie Kingston's role will be. They got a history. Gabe, you may not know this because they never tell.
I don't know this. Oh yeah.
Eddie Kingston's injury was caused by Gabe Kidd.
Okay.
So that's why he's been out for the last 18 months. Is because
will they explain that on commentary for the?
Well, they should have.
Don't know.
But the problem is that they don't want you. They want you to be surprised when it happens. So that's why they're not telling you. But I mean, that's, and obviously Eddie and Mox have history. And
so Gabe Kidd went through all that introduction to not be in the match. Okay.
Yeah, correct. He is not in the match. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I was baffled, but I mean, by the end, I think I know where they're going.
But he will be in the match. That's the whole point.
Well, I don't think I don't think he's actually going to be in the match, but I think he will be involved in the match.
Yes, which means he'll be in the match. It's no DQ. It doesn't matter.
Think the first ever TLC match at WrestleMania. I think it was actually the second TLC match, but the one that was at WrestleMania. Lita and Rhino and Spike Dudley weren't in the match, but they were involved in the match. That's going to be Eddie and Gabe Kidd. Yeah, that's what I think. All right, let's get into this show because there's a lot to get into, even though there's only 3 matches. So we started out the show, and actually before this opening segment, we had Excalibur talking about how you can watch Double or Nothing, and they were clear to point out they're really heavily pushing that you can watch it on Prime. They also mentioned, I think it's something called Fubo. But then they were
but they called it Fubu.
Yeah,
which is something completely different.
Always great to screw up the name of your broadcast partner. But then
Fubu is like a fashion brand, I believe. Fubo is the TV streamer. Yeah.
What's the expression? FUB fucked up beyond. Oh, FUBR. At least he didn't say
that. That's Fubar. That's Fubar, not Fubo or Fubu.
So, but they also pointed out that it will not air on Triller for folks in the U.S., Canada, or Puerto Rico. So that is interesting. And there was a lot of panic involved among certain people, including myself, who were worried that we weren't going to be able to get our cheap AEW pay-per-views like we always do. But they announced, I think yesterday, that it's available on Triller internationally. So I can fly to England and watch the match or put a VPN on my computer. So we started out with Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page with a face-to-face. And this was something else. So Will Ospreay starts it off and he cuts this big long promo about just how, I mean, it's hard to recap because he was like all over the place. What I want to say is, like, as he was talking, I'm thinking like, okay, I believe everything he's saying. He's got great delivery.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's trying to come off as this massive baby face. And he's coming off as a bit of a whiner and not really likable. And the reaction of the crowd kind of confirmed that in the first part of this promo. It got
let me it may not be whining per se, but I think he's trying to take credit for stuff he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I fly in from Britain and I come to work. Oh,
I fly in. Sometimes it's 7 hours. Sometimes it's 14.
It's Chris Rock. What you want, a cookie?
Yeah, like you showed up for work. I come to work.
So do the rest of us.
He was clear to point out 1 day a week. This guy's making millions of dollars a year.
I fly first class across the ocean 8 hours and go to work 1 day a week.
Yeah. So that was to these poor schmucks in the crowd. He's coming off, like, what do you want, a cookie? Meanwhile, Hangman's just sitting there, taking it all in, staring. And then he kind of got on Hangman a bit, talking about his insecurities and blah, blah, blah. And then he eventually closed it off by saying, like, I really, really want this. And then right away, I knew where Hangman...
What you want, a cookie?
Right away, I knew what Hangman...
wants the world title. Come on. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Oh, and he brought out 2 beers and he offered Hangman one, and then he took a drink out of the other one, and then Hangman didn't take a drink and he just put it down. So I knew what Hangman's comeback was going to be when he said, I want this. So he says, you want this. And he says, well, let me tell you something. And then he goes on and he talks about his history, and he talks about, being home at Christmas, and he was looking out a window looking for someone that was never going to come back. And I was like, what is he talking about? Because that's like my first thought was Swerve. That's what's bothering him. But then I'm like, well, no, what do you mean he's not going to come back? He might come back. That's what you're worried about. So I'm like, is there like a dead relative I don't know about? Is he talking about CM Punk? Like, I don't. And then I guess maybe he was talking about Swerve. Someone thought, oh, he's chasing ghosts. Like, I don't really know what that was about.
I thought it was metaphorical for his humanity.
Okay, there you go. Like, it's something. I think it went over my head a little bit.
But they could have expressed it a little bit better.
But the thing is, at least he didn't dwell on it. he kind of moved on. It's like, okay, we knew he's been stewing for 2 years. It's been
an
angry
esoteric thing more than anything. Yeah, it's not
I've
actually
been angry. I've been
for.
frustrated. I haven't won any of the tournaments I've entered.
That I liked.
Yeah, my everything. And now I'm focused. And then he says, "You want this? I need this." And I thought that was strong. And then like Will was kind of like, whoa, taken aback. And then he started in on him. And this is where it kind of got good. He was like, he's saying, well, like I've faced Moxley twice. I've lost both times. You've beaten him. So he says, if you can beat him, then and if I can beat you, then I know that I can beat him. He also said something, and this was the one part of this whole promo exchange that bothered me. At one point, he says to Hangman, "What are you going to do on Sunday?" And then instead of letting him answer or Hangman interrupting him, he just kept going. And I wanted Hangman to interrupt him right before he got another word out of his mouth and say, "Whatever it takes." That's I mean, that would have been a great thing, but he didn't. He goes on. He kind of started repeating himself a little bit at certain times. He was using the same phrases. He got flustered. But he ended up closing it again really, really strong, I thought. And so I thought, that was really good, the way it started. Then Hangman said, that he I'm just trying to like go look back over notes here. One thing I like, Ospreay going over all the different people he's beaten. He brought up MJF, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, Chris Jericho. Proved them all wrong because I'm the best in the effing world. And he also pointed out that he's appealed to the powers that be, and he wants this match to be for the main event, and the main event on the pay-per-view. And I guess they never really said that it would be. I assume it's going to be. And then
it shouldn't be, but that's okay.
No, I think it should be. I said last week it should be.
Well, no, the world title match should always be the main event, but
there is no world title match. Well, the women's world title match.
Oh, why am I thinking that Joe and Moxley are in a cage?
Yeah,
because that was last week.
That was last week.
Okay, never mind. You're right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So he started to take a swig of his beer, and then he ended up just dumping it all over his face. He maybe got maybe a third of the beer in his mouth, and that's generous. Then Hangman very calmly grabs the beer, chugs it like a man, throws it down, and they do a stare off. And I thought that was good. And I guess maybe at some point they told us, Tony Khan made it official that it is going to be for Double or Nothing. I might have missed that. And they walked side by side up the aisle, and there was a shot of the Owen Cup between them, which was a good camera shot. And that was that. I thought overall a good segment. It could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. So overall I liked it.
I graded on a curve also. I thought it was pretty good for them.
Like a B+.
Will is all over the place, as you said. And it's very, who it reminds me of? It reminds me of almost a peak Cena.
For Hangman?
For Will, after a pay-per-view, when Cena does that opening promo after he lost and he's just talking all over the place and everything.
Yeah. I was almost thinking, I got the sense in this promo that Will's probably just recently found out he's losing.
I was the beer bottles. I'm with John on this. I also thought that someone's getting hit with a beer bottle at some point. Or I thought also, I thought I'm trying to think if I'm over processing whether or not I thought Hangman should have responded to the drinking comment and something. I only drink with friends or something to that effect.
He asked,
but
that was
the quiet. The quiet was fine, but it's just but yet Will comes out. Hey, I'm gonna be a dick. You still drink?
Well, and that's the thing, and that's I think where I got it in my head that he was acting like a heel almost, not a heel, but unlikable, because you're bringing up the man's got a drinking problem, and you're taunting him about it.
See, I'm gonna push back on Matt a little bit because I think that might have been the little thing that nagged on me. He goes, I absolutely loved Ospreay's bit about needing Hangman to teach him how to beat Moxley.
Oh, I like that too. You didn't like it?
Okay. The only thing was it makes him more of a dick. because he's going because he literally goes, okay, I need you to be your best, because then if I can beat you, I know I can beat Moxley.
No. What he's saying is you beat Moxley.
Yeah,
So
but
if you
if I
can
beat
beat,
you,
then I know I can
I
beat
can beat.
Moxley. Like there's nothing wrong with
Yes,
that. It's MMA
well, he
math.
should know. Yeah, well, it's MMA math, but he should know he can beat Moxley.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of being championship
John
material. It's
says,
not.
how is Will Ospreay your number one guy, the biggest douchebag in that segment? I wouldn't go quite that far, but
But I'm close. I'm not
yeah.
there, but I'm close. But overall, I mean, it was fine. I think I may
Well,
have
Hangman's
also
got a
just
wife and
wanted.
kids at home too. Like what, like, and coming in from Virginia, I mean, it's not that easy either. Might be easier from London, honestly.
I'm wondering. Well, I think he flies out of DC, so it's
Oh,
fairly
okay,
easy.
so it's not
And
as bad.
I think Oakton. Well, see, he's from Oakton. I don't think he lives there necessarily. Or no. That's Serena Deeb. Where's he? Oh, he's from like. I had never heard of this city before, and I lived in Virginia for 20 years. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think it was personal for them, but it wasn't personal between them. I think might be.
That's yeah,
the
I
note.
like that. Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, this isn't really about them. It's about
Right.
It's about
But
winning.
they're both going through these inner journey type of
One
things where
key
they
thing I
both
should
want to
point
play.
out-
They want to like Will's whole goal is to bring the title back so he can have a show in front of his friends in England.
There was a key. There was a key that I didn't mention when I was recapping everything. Is that Will said that if you win, you're going to need help against Moxley and his Death Riders, and I want you to know that I'm there for you, and I just want your assurance that if I win, that you're going to be there for me. And Will or Hangman didn't really commit to that.
No, he didn't. I mean, Hangman was centered in his character, and I appreciate that. Where it's just like, nah, I'm just kind of in my own zone, man.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. I can dig that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was interested. Man, I get the feeling that a beer bottle's making its way into the match somehow.
I hope not. I just want to see it.
I hope not either.
Yeah, I just want to see a banger.
Then they showed pretty good. I'd give it B+, B.
Yeah,
something like that.
They showed Moxley coming in the arena with Marina. They made their way backstage. He did a short promo and talked about Anarchy, and then they made their way to the ring. And then we got a 6-man tag, an all-star trios match. Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks. So this match, they went through, so they did a long opening part.
It might still be going.
They had a commercial. Then they did another long part. Then they had another commercial. And then they had another long thing. I don't know how long this match went. I figure it might be Kevin's wrong, by the way. We'll talk about it later. You don't know what we're talking about, but we will. You'll know later. And you're probably going to agree with Kevin. Anyways, so they had this super long match.
I think Matthew was wrong.
With commercials, it was probably 40 minutes, I would think. But it was like an awesome match, like it was a party match. What I'll say, it was different from some of the party matches that they've done because it wasn't as fast as a lot of them are because they were going long. I think that they took their time, they set up spots, but it was the same kind of match, just kind of slowed down to like 2/3 speed, which in this case I think maybe helped, because they couldn't have done that pace for 45 minutes, and they obviously needed to go that long because there was only 3 matches booked on the show. So, it was, everybody did all their spots. I mean, there's no point in like, running over all the different spots they did. But the finish, and it's kind of funny because we were talking in the Discord about like, man, who could actually lose this match? And I'm like, well, there's a lot of guys that could lose this match. Like Samoa Joe, he's already lost his title match. Doesn't matter. He could lose. Hobbs, the Young Bucks, like, what do they got going on? They're in the cage match, but so is everybody else. So I figured, yeah, Young Bucks are probably going to lose. And sure enough, that's what happened. Moxley hit a cutter, gets sent outside by Joe. There was a super kick party. The Bucks missed an EVP trigger on Strickland. Joe put the Coquina clutch on Nicholas, and then Strickland rolled up Matthew, which is the same way I believe he lost last week. He got rolled up, I think, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of roll-ups for wins in AEW lately. One thing though, I will point out, Moxley he was like working hard in this match. Like he was doing dives. He was like all over the place. And he was also at one point, and I never thought I'd see this in my life. The Bucks were doing something in the ring. They were double teaming someone. Mox is standing on the second rope and he's like cheerleading. Who am I watching? Is this like Brandon Cutler? But no, it was Jon Moxley. But it was a really, really good match if you like this sort of thing, I thought, and did a lot to get you interested in the match on Sunday, I thought.
Yeah, I thought Joe had his working boots on too, doing a few dives there.
Yeah, he did the one where he took out Mox and the Bucks, all three of them at the same time, like bowling pins.
Yep.
I didn't even notice Hobbs, I'll have to say. There's one spot where he did spine busters in all three. That's the one thing I remember about him, but he was kind of just there. Not much.
I have no real notes for this match other than it was good. It was fine. I think I might have wanted Swerve to stand out a little bit more.
Well, except what is he being set up for right now?
Well, he's kind of in that back burner in the world title feud.
But he's got to be at least 4 months away at best.
Yes. No, I agree. But just just for this match like after last week's ending where he comes off the cage and he scares everybody away and he's just kind of like in the mix in the 6-man. I think
to me, Omega is kind of ahead of him in that, even though he's got a belt of his own, which you would never know if you watch the show. Did you remember that he was a champion?
Barely, but to me, Omega's giving half effort in a lot of this. So
yeah, I thought in the run-in that we'll talk about in a bit, he actually looked
fine.
He got a great reaction, and he did quite a bit. So, but yeah, I don't know that he's really feeling this, but it's hard to say. After the match, Claudio and Wheeler showed up, and then Katsuyori Shibata made the save, which I thought was funny because when Tony Khan set this match up on Twitter, he said that because the Young Bucks and the Death Riders took out Katsuyori Shibata, Swerve Strickland is stepping in to team up with Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs.
Right.
So Swerve was stepping in for Shibata, who is the one that ended up making the save after the match. So
it's now 6-on-6 according to Wikipedia.
It was 6-on-6. That's what they put up on the screen.
Okay, cool.
No, but the 6-on-6 does not include Gabe Kidd.
Right.
So Shibata shows up. He beats the hell out of Yuta and Claudio by himself. Then Shafir comes in, cuts him off with a low blow. Then Willow comes down, hit a huge pounce. Ladies are brawling. Out comes Kenny. And he hit a couple snapdragons, a V-trigger on Matthew. Strickland and Joe set up a table at ringside. Omega put Matthew on the edge of the apron, wanting to go for a one-winged angel, but Castagnoli pulled him out of the ring. And Bucks and the Death Riders went through the crowd. Joe did a promo, said, Sane Man will wait till Sunday, but we're not waiting till then. We're coming after your asses tonight. And I thought, oh, great, we're going to get one of those things where they're going after them all night, and every break we're going in. No. In fact, you almost forgot about it until Matthew Jackson opened his stupid mouth, which is great. Don't get me wrong. This is a compliment. When a heel does something stupid, yay, Paul's cheerleading, because that's what heels are there for. They should do stupid things. And instead of just getting in his limo and leaving, he had to poke the bear.
Or evil or stupid. I'm here for both.
Yeah. Evil or stupid. Yeah. In the Bucks case, stupid is better, I think. But yeah, so he promised to get his hands on them tonight. So keep that in mind for later. Then we got Alicia Toot backstage with the Hurt Syndicate, and they had their guy whose name I already forgot. God, he's got this weird name too. MJF comes in. He's got like a gold and black suit to kind of, but not really match the Hurt Syndicate. It's like exact opposite of their colors.
Yes.
And he's got Mark.
It's Sterling. More gold than black. He went heavy on like the secondary color. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like the NHL when they do their alternate jerseys.
It looks like he like used some couch covering for this.
Yeah, it's like leftover from Jamie Hayter's closet.
Pretty much.
So then MVP tells him to let out a woo. So he does, and he says they got to go get some food. and MVP tells his lawyer to take care of MJF, and he fist bumped him, and then he asked Mark Sterling for a wet nap because he had to touch this.
He had to touch a poor.
Yeah. I think Mark Sterling's a poor too, but he's MJF's poor, so he's okay with him. So they go to commercial, they come back. And I got to say, I don't know what happened. I don't know anybody that was there. Sometimes I get notes from people that were there. I didn't get that today. But I suspect that MVP went out there about 3 minutes before the cameras came on and cut the biggest promo on these Albuquerque sweat hogs that you've ever heard. Because normally the Hurt Syndicate is cheered like crazy. They cheer everything they say and do. And here this crowd was booing them right from the get-go. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, because because the segment came off weird to me.
Well, it was weird, but it was also proper because I've been telling you and everyone else who will listen for months, the Hurt Syndicate are not baby faces. They are heels. I mean, look at their win-loss record. Look at who they've beat. Every feud they've had has been with baby faces. So in this case,
the Gates of Agony are not baby faces.
Yes, they are.
What?
Who did you watch the match on Saturday?
Yes.
Who did they wrestle?
The Learning Tree.
Are they baby faces or heels?
I have no idea anymore.
They are heels. Gates of Agony are baby faces.
They're heels on a redemption tour.
Listen to a
matches.
Bishop Con tour. Listen or promo, and you'll know they are baby faces. Anyways, so they're heels. They were definitely heels here. They were booing everything MVP said. MJF comes out, they're booing him too. So there was something weird here where MVP said tonight we're going to we're going to introduce the newest member of our group. Yes,
our fourth member, and then he didn't say it was MJF. Yeah.
Correct. You noticed that too. Okay.
Yeah,
but then he says, so let's bring out the newest member of the Hurt Syndicate, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. So it was like, oh man, they gave us a clue, but then they didn't do it. I don't want this. I was hoping they wouldn't do it. I thought it was going to be Cedric. I thought Cedric was coming out. And he still might, but if he does, they missed their peak because it should have been here, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But so the fact that it wasn't here makes me think, okay, we're getting what I wanted, which is MJF with the Hurt Business. But it's freaking weird. It just is. So they're going on. And our friend Kevin Ely mentions in the Discord, I wonder if at any point in this segment they're going to mention they have a world tag team title match on Sunday. And I was like I said, this was news to me. I had no idea they had a tag team title match on Sunday because I didn't get to see the last half hour Collision because TBS, TNT, and USA Network decided not to air it. But out comes before they come out, they took their time. They brought out the contracts. They had to look over the contracts. They had to sign the contracts. So MVP signs it right away. The lawyer.
All right, this is where I kind of clocked out a little bit because I thought the whole point of that segment behind closed doors after they shook hands was they had fleshed out everything in the contract.
No, the lawyers had read it all and approved it and given these guys permission to sign it. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing was they had advertised a contract signing. So that's what this is. Now, someone points out there's a technicality here that the lawyers didn't actually sign it, but I don't think that's true because the lawyers didn't have to sign it. They just had to look it over.
Maybe Shelton Benjamin's a notary public.
Who knows? So MVP signs it. Shelton glances over it, waits like a second, and then he signs it. Bobby takes forever. And this is like, it's not nearly as good as the thumb, but he is taking forever. And the fans are booing while he's doing it. Like, they're like, get on with whatever you're going to do.
They're booing, and MJF and MVP are both going back to the crowd to scream at the crowd. And you're just like,
shut your mouth, you poor, like just whatever insult they can come up with. They're just, and so eventually he just freaking signs it. It's like,
well, he signs, he writes something.
I'm pretty sure he wrote his name. I mean,
No, well, see, I could see this being, I signed it as Donald Duck, so it's not legally binding that you're in the Hurt Syndicate.
I signed it Bobby Lashley, but as y'all know, my legal name is Roberto.
You know what? That's wrestling logic. They might do that.
Yeah. So eventually he signs it, and then MJF is about to start cutting a promo, says greatest days of his life, and then out come the Sons of Texas. And Dustin Rhodes, God bless Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes is a man among men. He has the best delivery of anybody, just about anybody. His delivery
This was a
awesome.
manly promo, and I loved every minute of it, and I'm happy that Sammy found a grown-up suit.
But his delivery was great.
But the content
actually listen to what he said. It was not great. He tripped himself up a few times. He had things he was going to say, and he forgot what he was going to say at times. Yeah, he got words mixed up. He repeated words. But the fact is, it's freaking Dustin.
Didn't care. Did not care.
Kept going and going. Yep. It's like you're driving. You're running the Indy 500 with a flat tire, and you're gonna win, and you're gonna finish the race. And he did. He got there. He just kept going and going. And
delivery is much more important than content. I'm here to tell you that right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the point of his promo was, you like to hurt people. Well, try hurting me. He says, you don't even know this. We've been to the devil. We stared him in the face and we've kicked his ass. And here we are. We're day one guys, and you can't hurt us. And that was basically his point. Did you know the very first match on Dynamite, do you know what it was?
Was it Dustin versus MJF?
No, it was Sammy against Cody.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But they were both on the first Double or Nothing. So their idea is, they're day one guys, and they're going to take back the belts. And he says, don't expect this to be a walk in the park. We fight with soul, passion, and heart. I think he said heart like 3 times, but you can't touch our work ethic. And if I were a betting man, I'd bet on the Sons of Texas. And MVP, Lashley, Shelton, they didn't seem terribly worried.
But it's interesting, this conversation, because it's like one of the first exercises I did in my indie wrestler promo workshop I did once out here. A bunch of kids that were both like wrestlers, but also doing like improv and stuff like that. And it's like, you go up there and you go, okay, do a scene, but don't use any words. Just use numbers. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. And the people who did emotion behind the numbers and stuff like that, you just look in the crowd and go, okay, what was that scene about? Oh, it was a husband and wife, and they were fighting over where to go for dinner. Yeah. Because you don't need to know the content as long as the delivery is there, that kind of thing. And that's kind of the point I was trying to get across. And I was like, look, if you're trying to think of some clever line or whatever, you'd much rather have emotion in there, and that'll move people a lot more than whatever your funny joke is going to be, Christian notwithstanding. Because Christian's the only guy who can really get away with just being a jerk and then throwing a joke in there, kind of a thing these days. But Dustin and Sammy aren't going to win. I don't even know if I'm looking forward to the match, to be honest with you, because I like Dustin and I like Sammy, but they're up against 2 hosses. And, it's like one of those things where I'm going to have to watch Sammy try and fly against these guys, and they're going to be basing for him all the time, as opposed to just me watching them murder death the fly boy, which is what I'm now used to, watching Top Flight versus these two. So Dustin will be fine. I mean, Dustin will do the greatest hits and stuff like that, and he'll probably bleed. But
and Sammy will bump around a lot, do a bunch of dives. I did like that Sammy had an appropriate suit. Once again, he did not get a word in this promo.
I want him to be a Son of Texas, though. I want like the goofy cowboy hat and boots with that baby blue suit. Yeah, and like a bolo tie. Sammy Guevara with the bolo tie.
Maybe we'll get that on Sunday. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this match. I think this would have been better served as like the main event of a Dynamite, but it'll be on the middle of the pay-per-view along with 8 million other matches. So we went to a backstage segment. Renee Paquette with Kazuchika Okada. He asking for a response to Speedball challenging him for the Continental Champion. Okada said, Bailey doesn't call me out, I'll call him out, and I'm issuing him a challenge for Double or Nothing. And Renee brings up that he's never actually been pinned. And he said, there's a first time for everything, trust me. And then he faked like he was going to say bitch, but he didn't actually say it. So I saw people think that this is hinting at a babyface turn.
Yeah, that's I kind of thought the same thing. It's like, oh, no bitch.
Or just that he's showing respect. You know,
that's the other part I thought was very respectful to not say bitch in front of Renee.
Well, he is Canadian, so maybe he only calls Americans bitches. Because your country's never mind. So next up, oh my God, this poor dude. We got Ricochet versus Anthony Bowens. And God bless Anthony Bowens. But
yeah,
so they aired a promo on social media to set this up. And Bowens came off like an asshole in this promo. And it got me to thinking, like, this 5-tool player is kind of a heel gimmick. And not only that, he's gone in there. He's been 2-0, which they pointed out. But the two guys he's beaten are Lee Johnson and Blake Christian, who lose to everybody. Not only that.
Bowens.
What?
3-0, Anthony Bowens.
No, I'm talking about Anthony Bowens.
Oh, I mean,
Max Caster. You're right. Yeah, he beat Max Caster too. Sorry. Yeah, that's true. But okay, so he beat guys that everybody beats. And with Lee Johnson and Blake Christian, he actually went like 50-50 at best with them, if not like 40-60 or 30-70. And long matches, and it took him forever to beat these guys. And then here he is against Ricochet, who is getting a major push. He's got a big match in the pay-per-view, and I'm like, I don't think it looks too good.
This push is over. Put the Acclaimed back together. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if they're going to do that. But that's the other thing is even Max Caster has been on TV more than Anthony Bowens since this thing happened.
But neither of these guys are better off breaking up. It's better that's to just true. Put them together.
And I think Billy Gunn may have outworn his welcome as well. In fact, he cost his buddy this match. I called him Grandpa Gunn in the Discord. He distracted the ref, which allowed Ricochet to grab scissors from under the ring and hit Anthony Bowens with the scissors and get the pin. Now the match up until then, it was fine. They were back and forth. It was like neither Ricochet was probably giving him most of the match because he knew he was winning. He went for the spirit gun, he missed it. Bowens hit the arrival. He hit the mollywop, but Ricochet rolled out of the ring, and then that's what led to the finish that I mentioned earlier.
Put Matthew's comment on here because he's won me back after that ridiculous dinner theater comment.
Which one?
The one he just put in there. Yes, you have to actually be great to do a braggadocious gimmick and still be liked. Bowens doesn't have the juice for it. I'm the best gimmick. Yes. Yeah. If you are. If you are not the best, you can't say you can have confidence, but you have to have humility. I'm thinking, like Brad Armstrong here when he'd cut a promo, and his promo stunk. Don't get me wrong, but it's, everybody knew I'm a great technical wrestler. If he had come out and go, I'm the best wrestler on the planet, because what he's doing is actually kind of what Max Caster heel.
He's saying he's the 5-tool player when and he's saying he's
look at all these skills I have, and I'm so good at wrestling.
And meanwhile, he's not that great. Yeah, and it's like, you know what? It kind of reminded me of Bianca when she first started on the main roster.
Yeah,
she was calling herself the EST, and I'm like, man, this you're unlikable. But then eventually she got.
She was basically doing the heel character she did from NXT on the main roster, kind of.
Right, but nobody knew her.
What are they doing?
So it didn't
but
work.
They were pushing her as a babyface, which was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the difference is between Anthony Bowens and Max Caster is you don't actually believe Max Caster. You're not supposed to. But I think the idea is that you're supposed to believe Anthony Bowens, but you just can't.
And you're supposed to buy into the pride of wrestling.
They should push the pride of professional wrestling more. Yes, like that is a great gimmick. And
but get rid of this 5-tool player stuff,
right,
man,
and have him beat people decisively. And it doesn't have to be, if you want to protect Blake Christian for God knows what reason, then have him beat Tony Nese or.
You need to go out there and show me you can do a 4 1/4 star banger, or I'm not booking you for Collision again, kid.
Yeah, Thanks, that's the problem is he's going to have those 4 1/4 star bangers. There's nobody he's going to have him with that he's actually going to beat. That's the problem. Right. Unless if they are going to beat him, then you're serious. But if you can't beat the guys at the level of Ricochet,
you need
or
squash
Speedball,
guys. And the problem is the guys they hire to be squash guys are actually semi-decent workers that they see something in and want to keep around on the schedule thinking that, oh, their work rate will eventually get them over.
But you watched Collision, right? You said?
Yes.
I thought the Speedball match with Blake Christian was perfect. Like, Speedball took like 90% of that match.
Yes.
Blake Christian got 1 or 2 moves in, but it was basically a showcase for Speedball, and that's exactly what Blake Christian is there for.
Yeah, they switched the script finally.
Yeah, and that was great. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, this is what we're saying, John. He said Anthony Boyd, he means Bowens, needs to build himself out as a respectable mid-card wrestler and have respect for mid-card wins, and he doesn't see that in him right now. And that's unfortunately, I think, where we're at. But yeah, so Ricochet got the win, and then he was leaving through the crowd, telling them they all suck, and then Mark Briscoe was behind him with a stretcher. So apparently, some point between last week and this week, they booked a match between Ricochet and Mark Briscoe, and they've made it a stretcher match. So the match makes sense, with the Zach Allen thing. I'm not sure how a stretcher fits into it, but it's there. Whatever. It's first ever AEW stretcher match. And he fired off punches, loaded him on the stretcher. He was going to hit him with a froggy bow, but Ricochet rolled off and crawled to the back. So that was that.
Can I suggest a tweak for Ricochet? Just a little bit. And it has nothing to do with Ricochet.
Pay attention. Pike your ears up. Here it comes.
Yes. Justin Roberts needs to not be enthusiastic when he says show some love for Ricochet. And then Ricochet needs to be mad that he's not being enthusiastic about it.
Okay.
Because he's already a jerk heel. And it's almost like he's telling Justin Roberts, okay, this is how you have to announce me. And instead of being enthusiastic about it, like, now that he's a heel, he has to go, show some love for Ricochet. And then Ricochet gets mad about that, and that triggers him, and that leads him to doing all these heel things in this match. That to me, I think would help the character quite a bit, because it's like one of those things where it's like, we're not supposed to show some love for Ricochet.
John wants to know if this is the first actual pay-per-view match for Mark Briscoe in AEW. I have no idea. Might be. I have no idea.
He is the king of the 0 hour.
Yeah. Like, I know he's had some matches, but yeah, maybe not on actual pay-per-view. It's possible, because for the longest time he wasn't even allowed to be in AEW. So
correct.
Had some bangers in ROH. Honorclub.com, everybody. Sign up for the service that I just canceled. So here's where we found out that Anarchy in the Arena is official, and here are the teams. Listen up. Kenny Omega, check. He was in that opening segment. Swerve Strickland, check. Willow Nightingale, okay, interesting. Women in the match. Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata. Okay. The Ops and Kenny, Swerve, and Willow. Okay. The other team, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir, otherwise known as the Death Riders, minus Pac, and the Young Bucks. So it's 6-on-6. Notably missing from those teams is one Gabe Kidd, who helped Moxley retain the title last week, who Jon Moxley said was his hired gun, who did an interview earlier today where he talked about the fact that he's going to be in this match. And
yes,
not in the match. I have a theory. As we pointed out, Jeremy says after they referred to Gabe Kidd as a mercenary, there's no way to convince him that Eddie Kingston isn't a surprise equalizer in the Anarchy. So my theory is that as of a week ago, they were hopeful and maybe even optimistic that Eddie Kingston would be cleared in time for Double or Nothing, and that they would announce Gabe Kidd on one side and Eddie Kingston on the other. Or the other possibility is that they did that knowing that Eddie Kingston is going to come back, but they want to do it as a surprise. And what they're going to do is they're going to have Gabe Kidd do a run-in just like he's done last week, just like he did this week. And he'll do it again at Anarchy in the Arena, only this time he'll get thwarted by a returning Eddie Kingston. And that'll get a big pop, and everybody will be happy. And Eddie Kingston and Gabe Kidd make sense because Eddie Kingston is the one that took him out, which, again, as I told you earlier in the show.
I had a thought, but it also depends on who I'm thinking is winning, and I don't know if I know who's winning necessarily.
Okay.
Just yet, I haven't decided on that because there's no harm in having the heels win this match.
No,
there
not at
isn't.
all. Yeah, especially if they're going to be doing a blood and guts.
Gabe Kidd comes in, gets massive heat by doing a move on Willow Nightingale. So that Marina can then attack Willow and get the win. Eddie Kingston comes down with a gasoline can to try and stop it, but can't get there in time necessarily or whatever. But because he's coming down with a gasoline can if he is, because that's his bit now in Anarchy in the arena. Yeah. There has to be fire somewhere in this match, apparently. Now.
And Gabe Kidd will have no problem getting lit on fire. That
no.
Well,
I don't think that happens tonight. I think it's Chekhov's gasoline can.
Okay.
But I think it's one of those things where Eddie Kingston gets so mad that Gabe Kidd attacked a woman that he comes down with the gasoline can to try and set him on fire. Doesn't get there, but...
and he comes up wrapped up like a mummy, limping, like he's
something like that.
Clearly not recovered, but he's well enough to beat Gabe Kidd.
But he's there to fight for the honor of Willow Nightingale type of thing.
Yeah. Like it's something like that. But I do think we're going to see Eddie Kingston.
And I think we're seeing some sort of intergender violence.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Men on women to get the heat spot. It has to be, because that's the only reason to have the women in this match.
Yeah, I mean the other possibility would be like Renee accidentally getting hurt, and Eddie would. Renee's
not. No, we're never making Renee a player character.
I know.
Ever.
I know. Well, I mean, she kind of is, but just not physical. She's part of the storyline in a way, but
barely.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. Like so that, I mean, this is what, I mean, we were asking who the team's going to be. Well, now we know, and we'll talk about what happened with these guys in a little bit. And then we were told that, so ahead of her Owen Hart Cup title match on Sunday, tomorrow night on Collision, and it's actually being taped tonight, Mercedes Moné will face CMLL's Reina Isis in an open title challenge. This isn't even a ladder match, an eliminator match. This is an actual title match. So I'm not sure exactly what Reina Isis did to get a title shot, but I guess the TBS often has open challenges. So this is just one more of those. Excalibur said it might be a trap match. What?
Yes. I think she's losing the CMLL belt and it's going away, and it becomes.
She doesn't have a CMLL belt.
I thought she did.
No. She has the Rev Pro. She has the Rev Pro and the TBS title. And then there's another
CMLL belt then.
That's the one that Stephanie Vacour had, and then she vacated it, and then someone else won, but it wasn't Mercedes. Can't remember who it was, but
never mind.
Yeah, it was some Mexican wrestler.
I thought they were going to continue to make the story that she keeps losing her belts.
Well, okay. This is as good of a time as any to bring this up. No, you know what? We'll wait till the promo segment, which is next.
Okay.
Anyways, I think. All right.
Yeah.
Well, first we got a Stokely Hathaway promo with FTR. This is like the main event that's coming up, by the way. There's people in this chat waiting for this discussion. So Stokely is backstage with FTR, said he got his contract. They could sign it via Adobe. But
the specifics of this amazed me. We could sign this through Adobe Acrobat. Yeah. And send a PDF back or whatever. I'm just like, you sound like me at my job every day. Okay, cool.
So instead, they want to look Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness in the eye before signing. So I guess we're gonna have another contract match, and another contract segment.
Yeah.
And he told him to bring that bitch ass Daddy Magic to sign the contract. Now, did you see the graphic that they put up on the screen for this match? Nigel had a full head of hair, almost like a pompadour, and it was jet black. I've never seen his hair look like this.
Maybe they put his face on Angelo Parker's head or something like that.
I don't know what they did, but I was laughing. It was so funny. You
can use DocuSign, but Adobe Acrobat also gives you the ability to sign contracts and stuff.
But they want to do it old school and sign it in the ring. So
and attack them. Yes.
Yeah, and Stokely can get a pen to the back of his head or something.
Mm-hmm.
So next we got Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter face to face. So Jamie Hayter comes out, and you know who she reminded me of?
She looked lovely. Go ahead.
Donna from that 70s show.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Long, straight red hair, tight black sweater. Yeah, it worked.
Stripe, like Technicolor pants from 1976.
Yeah, that were like, what did we call
bell bottoms?
Name for them? No, they weren't bell bottoms. Were they? But they were like, they were too short. There's a word for it. What did we used to call them?
Capri pants?
No, but there's a name that my mom used to use. Like it had to do with like river or puddles. It was something like when your pants don't go all the way down, it's because you want to walk in the puddles. I can't remember what
clam diggers. The capri pants or clam diggers were always what we
that's
called
not
them.
the floods. Thank you, Kevin. Floods. That's what they were called. That's what my mom called them. They're probably capri was used as well, but the term my mom used was floods. So that's what she was wearing. She was wearing floods. Anyways, she cut as Kevin Ely put in the Discord. She cut the same promo Hangman did, but with a British accent. It's not quite that, but essentially she was just talking about how much she did. She lost the title. She got injured. Now she's coming back. Renee said she's an underdog. She said, well, if I'm the underdog, so be it, but I'm going to keep coming back time after time again. Not going to let others doing my dirty work and act like I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm a fighter. Everyone watching's made me into that. And it means more to me than it does to Mercedes. Everyone knows it. And it's more than a title shot. It's about not being forgotten. It says when the bell rings, confetti falls, the cup lifted. If it's not Hayter doing it, she'll question what's the point going forward. So then Renee asked Moné, are you worried about Hayter being the first to beat you in singles action in AEW? She called herself the Revolution. She says, I'm Beyonce. I'm looking straight through her like the glass doll that she is. I always get what I want. And what I want is to go to All In Texas, become the AEW Women's Champion. I'm 25-0 in singles competition. 360 days is the greatest TBS champion of all time. I got this not by luck, but by dedication and hard work. It's about my legacy at Double or Nothing. It won't be when Hayter's story begins, but it's going to be when her chapter ends. And then Hayter brings up one thing that we haven't mentioned is you're looking a little lighter tonight. And Mercedes doesn't like that. And you can't comment on a women's weight. But no, she's talking about how she's missing one of her belts.
Oh, you got me on that one, Paul. Oh, that's so good.
So she brings up that she doesn't have the New Japan Strong Women's title anymore. Then she says, you know how I know that? Because I watched the match and I watched you lose your New Japan Strong Women's title. Now, I watched that match. I did not see Mercedes lose her title. I saw Azumi win that title by beating Mina Shirakawa. Mercedes did not lose the match. She did not lose the title.
Are you telling me that professional wrestling lied to me?
I'm telling you, Jamie Hayter twisted the truth. And I'm thinking that Mercedes should have said to her, no, I may not have that title, but that's not because I lost. It's because Mina lost. And no one's ever beat me one-on-one, and you're not going to do it because there's no one else there for you to pin. You've got to beat me. That's what she should have said. But
no, that's a good point.
Now, I was ganged up on in the Discord because she did not win the match, so she lost the match. And I'm like, no, this is like in a triple threat match. What's actually happening? I'm going to explain this to you and everybody else. What actually happens in a triple threat match is the winner is stripped of their belt, and the winner of the match gets the belt. That doesn't mean that the person that was previously the champion lost the belt. They were stripped of the belt.
Preach.
Just like in a ladder match.
You stand your ground, Paul Fontaine.
Just like in a ladder match.
These ungrateful bastards in the Discord.
You put the belt up in the ceiling. You put the belt up in the ceiling and someone else wins it. It doesn't mean the person that had the belt
you did not lose it. You did not lose it. Yes. You did not actually lose that match. You were not a party to the decision within
Kevin is
that
mad.
match.
He said it's complete misrepresentation. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying Jamie Hayter, what she said was technically true, but also untrue. And
Yes.
yeah, and Mercedes should have pointed that out.
I agree.
You didn't lose the match, but you did lose the title. No,
You
she
know what,
didn't
Kevin?
lose the
If you had
title.
a podcast, you could friggin' argue your
She
point,
did
but you
not
don't.
lose the title. She was stripped of the title, and
Well, no,
Azumi
no,
won
no,
the
no, no,
title.
no. She lost the title. She did not lose the match.
Matt,
She wasn't stripped of the. Being stripped of the title means you're not defending it. That when they strip you of a title, it's a legal term. When you lose,
but the
Yes.
title was vacant while the match was going on, and the
this
winner
is
of the
the
match
most
won the
in
title.
the weeds conversation
Yes,
we have
it
ever
is.
had about professional
But
wrestling.
I'm gonna
You
die
know
on this
Fred.
hill. I'm
All
gonna
right,
die on
fine.
this hill.
But the strip is an incorrect terminology.
Yeah,
that's
but it's
the
like
problem
she
here.
was stripped. It's like she was stripped.
No, it wasn't. Strip means you refuse to defend it, and they
Okay.
strip you of the title. Some governing body strips you of a title.
Okay, but it is like the title is vacant because you don't
Yes.
have to lose the
Well,
match to
no.
lose the belt. That's the problem. And if you look at the win-loss records, Azumi has a win, Mina has a loss, Mercedes does not have a win or a loss or a title.
Actually, you know what? This is the problem. It's more champions need to yell at these dirty ass on the take, Jack Tunney types who put them in triple threats.
They
don't have to be party to. I mean, they should demand, if I'm going to lose this title, I need to be the one flat on my back.
This is like the technicality where somebody in UFC is like a 5-time champion, even though they only won the belt once and defended it 4 times, because every match, like the way it works in UFC is every time you win a title match, you're a champion again. So it's like the title is vacant for the title match. And when you win a belt, you're a 2-time champion. Now you're a 3-time champion. It's like every title match is another champion. You're winning another belt.
Let's talk about the important thing here, which was that brutal bump that Jamie Hayter took, falling down on the chair and hitting the back of their head on the bottom rope. My God.
So Mone jumps out of her chair. She does not like being lied to that she lost her belt. And she she waffled Hayter. She tried to block it, and she lands hits her head on the bottom turnbuckle, plunks the back of her head on the canvas, but she got right back up and folded Mone up with a Haterade. But I don't know. So Cyclops got us to our $25.
Oh, no.
With this comment: no matter how you phrase it, she still lost. LOL. Well, you know what? You gave us money, so guess what, Matt and Kevin? You're right.
I love that your opinion can be changed through cold hard cash. Get paid.
Oh, damn right. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. Debate settled. DJ Cass, if you're listening, reach out to us because you paid us more money, and you get to decide. But if we don't hear from him within a week, and you can reach me at Paul Ace Fontaine on Twitter, or you can comment.
Do you know anything about his contact info to get in touch with him so that he has a chance?
No, not at all. I can look him up on YouTube maybe. But if we don't hear from him, then Cyclops, you'll get to pick the show that we review. So you can pick an old episode of Dynamite, and we'll review it at some point in the next month or so. Probably in a couple weeks once the pay-per-view is over. But yeah, so there you go. Thanks for settling that. Kevin, Matt, you were right. I even said you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jeff, you too. But yeah, I hope she's okay. That bump did not look good.
Yeah, I hope she's not she didn't get a concussion and she's out of the match. That's my big fear here. But yeah.
Yeah. Man, it feels good to be wrong, especially when you get rich. Okay.
I've never lost an argument in my life. I've just stopped.
No, I lost. I got paid, so I lost. I'm a whore.
So argue
much like the next person I'm going to talk about, Timeless Toni Storm. She calls herself a whore. I'm not calling her a whore. She repeatedly, over and over again, tells us she's a whore.
I'm calling her a whore. No.
Okay. So her music comes down, and somebody pointed this out. I think it might have been Matt, who said like he likes Toni, but this killed the vibe because they were brawling and we were into this, and then all of a sudden her music hit, and it was like, that's kind of how you felt. But she came out and she was high-fiving fans. She was ignoring Hayter. So between what happened in the thing with the promos and Toni brushing her off, I really got the feeling Hayter's winning on Sunday.
We'll talk about it when we preview.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll have time to
Mhm.
preview.
Yeah.
Korean's right. You're married, you always lose arguments. Oh yeah. That is 100% true. And then it was right around this point when it occurred to me, it's like 8:47 or 6:47 where you are, and we've had 2 matches on this show, and the only thing we got left is Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart. So not only is that the main event, but they're getting some time, which was
Great.
partially right. Someone said, "Let them cook." I said, "I'm not sure Julia can." And Mina's fine, but she's not like upper tier in terms of like she can work an awesome match with the right person, but she's not necessarily the one that's going to carry the match.
Number one, okay, they got back to the original music was great, and kudos to Toni Storm for bringing up. What happened to that banger of a theme they had last week?
Well, they canceled it. Did you heard about that?
Yes,
right?
yes, they did, and that was fun. They just did the
So was
did
this her old theme again? Was this her old theme again?
Okay. This was her old theme, but way too many strobe lights for this camera. Okay. It's a lot like Statlander's entrance stinks also because the lighting on it works in the arena, but it doesn't work on the camera. If you've ever noticed that, the one where they like cut out the lights, but she has like the blue light backdrop, but it's so bright. It's almost like that Sheamus type thing where it's blinding you kind of a thing. Yeah, they need to watch this on TV and adjust the lighting on it because it's killing high def and 4K televisions there.
Oh, okay. Quite frankly. Well, to be fair, I don't watch the entrances, so I just skipped it. So I didn't even get all the controversy last week. I was like,
okay.
But okay, so they had a match. You know what? And if you told me on paper that these two were going to have whatever this was, 12, 13-minute match, I would have thought, I don't know. But the match was fine. It was, maybe even pretty good. I didn't really notice any botches or anything. They were back and forth. Hart went for a moonsault. Shirakawa moved. Hart came up limping. Shirakawa worked over the leg, tried to get a figure 4, but Jamie got an inside cradle. Then Shirakawa got up, hit a rolling elbow, went for the glamorous driver, but Hart cradled her again. And then Shirakawa cradled her with a seatbelt and got the flash pin. So it was the exact same way she pinned Toni last week. And then they asked her on commentary if she was worried. And she says she called them a slop tart or something and said, "I'm not worried. What are you talking about?" And I thought that was stupid because she should be worried. She
should be worried. And then this entire post segment was ridiculous in so many ways. But let me, the match was good. I want Julia to learn a little bit of grappling, please. So that she just doesn't have to do just gymnastics. But again, I will say versus the Stevie Nicks lingerie gear, the Lita inspired, the parachute pants and the sports bra is a much better athletic look for her than the previous one. She's fine. I don't understand what they're doing with her. She used to be mad over, and now she's not. It's one of these things in the women's division where it's like someone will get white hot for like 2 weeks, and then they'll have no idea what to do with them. And then they just become like Anna Jay had this problem. Willow, Chris, Julia.
Well, they heated Willow up again by putting her with this in this death.
Yeah, and and you can always just go back to that, but it, like Stat, Julia, Anna had like a 2-week run after Japan where she was hot, and then it's like nothing.
And even Mina, like the funny thing with Mina is she was super over when she was involved in that love triangle thing.
When she was making out with women and the guys loved it. Yeah, it was.
But the problem here is, and we'll talk
about
Hayter's
another example. Hayter was mad over. She used to be the most over woman in the division.
I feel like she's coming around now. I think like maybe it's turning around for her. But this post match was, as you said, ridiculous.
Stupid.
So Shirakawa signals to Storm that she wants the title. She gets attacked from behind by Julia Hart, who I believe is a babyface.
Shikara. No. Well, yes.
Because Shirakawa fought back and she applied the figure 4. And then Sky Blue hit the ring to save Julia. So Blue's beating down Shirakawa. Storm leaves commentary, drops Blue with a snap German. So then Hart ate back fist from Storm and Shirakawa. Shirakawa grabs the woman's title, held it up. They have a tug of war. So then Storm tried to kick her. Shirakawa hit a dragon screw. Then she hit a figure 4 around the ring post. And Storm screaming. The refs come in, pull her off. Shirakawa made her back, way to the back, high-fiving fans along the way. So no,
you're correct. No, okay. Here's the problem, and also commentary didn't know what the hell they were doing either. And that's the other problem with this. Is okay. Yes, no, you're correct. Julia is a babyface. They bring out Sky Blue, who returned to a big ovation in Chicago, making her. You think she's a babyface? She comes in. Commentary starts talking about how Julia Hart and Sky Blue are best friends, which is from the angle before Sky Blue got injured with the black mist and all that.
Yes.
So they literally just verbally turned them heels again. Yeah. We get Mina Shirakawa, we get Toni Storm, who's a babyface, trying to attack Mina Shirakawa, and then Mina Shirakawa trying to do a figure 4 around the ring post, which is not a babyface move. So this crowd is just like, I just want to boo everybody. And they kind of do.
Except then Mina gets up from the figure 4 and starts high-fiving fans.
Well, she doesn't know she was a heel in that segment.
Matt points out he thinks it's building to a collision tag. Yeah, that makes sense. Mina and Toni against Sky and Julia. But it detracted from the Mina versus Storm build. But he wasn't bothered by
let's get back to the original point of Paul, which is Julia's a baby face.
Yeah.
And they verbally just kind of turned her heel by bringing back another baby face that used to be when they both were heels. And they just decided, okay.
Except Sky made a baby face like save. Like that wasn't a heel move, saving Sky Blue. Like Mina was acting like a heel the whole time.
What you were doing was that's the other thing.
And she's feuding with Toni, who is also a baby face.
Correct. So you had 4 baby faces in there making
3 baby faces and 1 heel. 3 baby faces and 1 heel.
The one who was high-fiving everybody around the
one heel. Yes.
Yes.
Very ECW brained, as Matt put it. I like that. So that was that. So we think the show's over, but no. We go backstage and Renee Paquette finds the Young Bucks. And they're about to leave because they have a flight to catch. But Dum Matthew opens his mouth and he calls Samoa Joe a pathological liar who said that he would attack them before the night is over, but we're here and they haven't done it yet. So that's it. He's a liar. So they go to leave. And of course they get attacked. And this results in everyone showing up. They start brawling in the backstage area. It spills out to the arena. Eventually they get to the ring. They're just beating each other with weapons and this and that.
They should have put on New Jack's, natural born killers and just.
Well, so at some point they started playing a song and I had no idea what song this was. So I asked in the Discord and someone points out, oh, it's the Dynamite theme. Well, I always skip the credits, so I didn't know. I know that there's a Sum 41 song that is the Dynamite theme. But the other thing is like it's in the background, so you're not hearing it as well as you do when they're showing the credits. So I didn't recognize the song. It's only been the Dynamite theme for like 2 or 3 weeks, I think. So but it did get me to thinking, I hope they don't play that song during Anarchy in the Arena. I hope what they do is play Carry On Wayward Son, and then Nana finds a way to interrupt it and replace it with Swerve Song. And then they could do Swerve Song for like 5 minutes, and then, eventually it'll end. But they always do the song gimmick in Anarchy, so I don't imagine this.
I hope it's Wars. Why can't we be friends?
Yeah. Or Bryan Danielson will just show up and demand that they play Final Countdown. So they're all brawling all over the place, and Mox and Shafir choking out Joe and Strickland, but then Joe turns it around. He's choking out Moxley, and then all of a sudden out from the crowd comes Gabe Kidd, who they are very clear to call a mercenary, hits Joe from behind with the briefcase, and then Kidd attacked Omega, and of course he's got history with him. They had a brutal match at the Tokyo Dome earlier this year, and Strickland. And then the Bucks and Yuta set up tables at ringside. They show like all the baby faces in peril. Like Yuta's choking out, I think it was Nana with a kendo stick. And I think Claudio had Powerhouse Hobbs buried under a table. And they get, who was it on? Omega and Strickland on tables. And then the Bucks did dives off the tables. Matt landed real badly.
Which means babyfaces should be winning, but you never know with AEW booking.
So that's kind of where they left it. So yeah.
What's the worst song they could play for Anarchy in the Arena? I've been thinking about this while you were talking about this brawl that means nothing.
The Death Riders.
Is it Muskrat Love by Captain Tennille possibly?
Oh, you're going for that.
Yes, I'm going for the Pointer Sisters. Slow Hand by the Pointer Sisters. Let's do that one.
Afternoon Delight, Starland Vocal Band.
Afternoon Delight would be one. What was that? Early. I've been to Paradise, but I've never been to Me. I think that one would be something.
No. What's that song? You reminded me of.
How about the Climax Blues Band? I Love You. Maybe that one.
How about oh God, what's that one? Well, I never been to heaven.
Oh, Three Dog Night. Never been to Spain.
Never been to Spain. There you go. That's a good one.
Okay, we could do that one.
Kevin wonders how the overrun to the left. I think people probably shut off the show, honestly. And so that it may not do that great, but it was pretty good. I thought it was a good, it was a good send off. Again, if it was me, I would have booked the trios match as the main event and then just done everything they did here after the match in the same spot. But then you could have got another match.
I hated this because it was too much of what we're gonna see on Sunday, and it's save it for the stage, guys. That's what I wanted to.
The Freshman by the Verve Pipe, yeah.
God. Actually, Bittersweet Symphony by the Swerve would be something too.
Yeah,
you'd have to pay the Rolling Stones for that because they
Tony doesn't want to do that.
To them. Yeah.
So Collision is airing tomorrow night on TBS, but it's being taped today, and we've got Mercedes Moné and Reina Isis in a TBS Open Title Challenge. Commander and Speedball against Roosh and Jalistico. Kyle Fletcher and Jay Lethal. Remember Kyle Fletcher?
And Jay Lethal. Jeez.
Paragon versus Grizzled Young Vets. God, that sounds like a collision. If I've ever heard
that sounds like NXT in 2019 or something.
Yeah, kind of. And then and here's Double or Nothing. So this will be our preview.
Okay.
FTR against Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness.
Oh God, I have this as a bit of an overbooked mess, to be honest with you. I think FTR win this. I just see Nigel going back. See, I thought this might be a conduit for Danielson coming in and making a save, and Nigel and Danielson eventually having to team against FTR. But I think they lose, and Nigel gives Daniel Garcia a European uppercut or something. Maybe both he and Daddy Magic are just you moron or something like that. It's and then he just goes back to being a heel on commentary type.
Doesn't Danielson live in Phoenix?
He lives in he has a place in Scottsdale because that's where the Bella twins are from.
So it's possible. I think FTR wins and Nigel turns on Daniel.
But there's that issue where Daddy Magic says he's going to have a crowbar. So you think that Nigel hits Danny with a crowbar, or does Daddy Magic turn eventually? And it's
or Daddy Magic accidentally hits Nigel with the crowbar.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, okay. and then that's what Nigel's impetus to turn on Daniel. That I like that. That's what I'm going with. Okay. Mark Briscoe and Ricochet in a stretcher match. God bless both of them, but I couldn't care less.
Ricochet wins this easy.
Really? Okay. All right.
Not in a huge thing, but it's one of those things where Ricochet is the guy with more heat and more upside right now than Mark Briscoe, and I love Mark Briscoe to death, but they've treated him. The time where he was hot has passed, so you can't just reheat him.
All right, I'll just say Briscoe just to be different. Kazuchika Okada and Speedball for the Continental title. It's got to be Okada. Yeah, I think this will be a good match, though. I really do. It's pay-per-view. It'll get some time. I think
Speedball's great. Yeah,
and so is Okada on pay-per-view. So, Hurt Syndicate and the Sons of Texas. Sorry, Dustin.
Hurt Syndicate.
Just be happy.
Hurt Syndicate via MJF doing something to Sammy.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, two pillars. Remember that angle?
Yes.
Remember who the other two are? Oh, congratulations, Darby. He climbed Mount Everest. Now he's got to get down.
Long-term booking. Yeah, well, he'll probably sled down knowing him.
No, the problem is, like, did you hear, like, people die on the way down. Like, it's not, there's no guarantee he's going to make it.
Yeah, because Darby's in a hurry, probably. He'll probably just
he's got to
give me a toboggan and just
all right, yeah. So yeah, Hurt Syndicate are retaining the belts. Timeless Toni and Mina Shirakawa for the AEW Women's Title. Yeah,
Toni Storm, easy. Yeah.
Mariah? Yes, no.
I think she's going to WWE.
Okay, I agree. But there was, I've heard some talk that we may get a Mariah appearance here. That it was all a swerve. We'll see. Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter, which I think is going to kick off the show. I don't know that, but that's what I would do. In the finals of the women's Owen, I believe it'll be Jamie Hayter.
If you had asked me 2 months ago, or even like a month ago, I thought for sure Jamie Hayter was going to win this.
Oh,
but that would be stupid right now because there's no money in the Athena Mercedes match anymore.
I'm not sure there
Athena.
Ever was.
Well, there when she was on that hot streak in ROH, and you bring her in, and she's a big deal. Sure, maybe. And plus, because they were part of that promotional stuff when they announced this thing. But the money is in Mercedes versus Toni, champion versus champion, and it would be stupid to beat them. And I love Jamie Hayter to death. This is the match I want to see most on the card is Mercedes and Jamie Hayter. But I think Mercedes wins this.
Okay. I think she loses. And I think we do get Mercedes and Athena at All In, but it'll be for Mercedes TBS title.
Yes, and I think
the title versus title match will happen later on this year, and it'll main event a pay-per-view. That's what I think. So
okay, well, I guess if you're gonna coronate a new men's champion at All In, you don't want to coronate a new women's champion at All In necessarily.
And it's definitely because it's not the main event, right? Like you're not going to main event Toni and Mercedes.
Well, okay. Well, let hold on. Let's plot this out for a minute because we have a little bit of time.
Okay.
Because I was thinking Hayter Storm in London.
Yeah.
As part of that pay-per-view. Yeah. The problem with that is where do you do Mercedes and Toni then? You can't hold that off for 3 more months.
Sure you can.
Well, you can't do it.
You could do it at All Out. You could do it at All Out.
Isn't All Out the one in England?
No, it's Toronto.
Oh, that's right. They didn't announce that today.
Yeah. Forbidden Door. You could do it at Forbidden Door. I wouldn't. No, I think Forbidden Door is going to be Mercedes and
I think All In needs to be your heavy hitting lineup and not just matches. So I think it's a double main event for both of the world titles. I think you might be right.
You might be right. And I mean, honestly, I know that a lot of people think that's what they're going to do, and I mean, it wouldn't be a wrong decision. I'm just not sure that's what they're going to do.
Well, Ryan is the one who talked me into it because I thought this entire time it was going to be Mercedes and Athena, and then it was going to be Toni and Jamie. But Toni and Jamie in Texas makes no damn sense to me. One should be in London.
Yeah. But then does Toni and Mercedes make sense in Texas? I don't know. Unless they move the match, maybe they move it to England. You could do that.
No. Toni and Mercedes makes sense in Texas because All In is your biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's your WrestleMania for AEW.
Fair enough. And then the main and then what is going to be the main event is Will Ospreay and Hangman in the finals of the men's Owen. I'm going back and forth on this, and after today, I think it's gonna be Hangman. But I would if you'd asked me any other week before this week, I would have said Ospreay. So I don't know.
I am with you. I've been going back and forth with this too because I also part of me was like, well, Ospreay could get the title shot at Forbidden Door and be fine. But
you could do Hangman Ospreay too at Forbidden Door.
To me, the Cowboy winning the title at All In Texas, that's the story to tell. Yeah. But also to me, I mean, Will Ospreay is your plum free agent signing that you need to belt sooner than later, and they've been beating him in the big ones far too often to me. Ah, God, this is hard.
And Hangman is also the guy who fits everything Moxley was talking about from day one.
Kind of. I'm gonna go with Hangman. I agree with you here.
All right, so then you were both going with Hangman. Sorry, Will. And then the other match is the Anarchy in the Arena. We've talked about it earlier. I mean, we kind of even talked about what we think the finish is going to be. I think you think that Gabe Kidd is going to show up and hurt Willow, and that's going to lead to the finish, and then Eddie is going to show up and hurt Gabe. Yeah, I like that. I can't think of anything better. The only other thing I would say is,
can I backtrack real quick? Because
sure.
I'm gonna put a caveat on Hangman winning.
Okay.
Because if you're gonna have Hangman win at Double or Nothing, and if he wins it all in, you need to have him cut the promo of his friggin' life on that Wednesday after. Because that first title reign sucked to me. I know some people liked it. I thought it was bad. And just him going, "Hey, I'm whole again," isn't gonna cut it for a promo.
No, it should be the other way. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, he needs to cut a championship caliber promo if you're gonna belt him. If he's gonna be the guy to dethrone Moxley, he needs to cut a promo of his life on that Wednesday.
And Moxley's got to get in there, and they got to go head to head. And
yes, they need to build that thing, man.
And he can't eat him alive. He has to eat some. He has to show some ass in the promo war.
Oh, and Hangman needs to bring it. Hangman needs to bring it on the promos too. That's the thing that kind of gets lost here, is that he kind of does the moody stuff, and the emo stuff well. But when it's time to kind of flip the switch and be, for lack of a better term, the alpha. I got railed on this for calling them betas a while ago, but yes, he needs to have work rate in his promos is what he needs, and then that'll help. But yeah.
Matt thinks that Hangman's title reign was sabotaged by Tony because he was mad about Paige taking time off. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think it was sabotaged, not by Tony, but by some of the people in the back who.
No, I think it was just poor. I think it was poor booking, to be honest with you. I mean, the only thing they did like a 2-week feud with Archer. You remember that? And it was just like, there was nothing to it. There was no build to any of these feuds until he got to Punk.
Right. Well, he had the Mox. He won the title from Mox, right?
Yes.
Which, I mean, that was the best part of it. And then it just
they immediately went to the Daniel Bryan or the Daniel Bryan Kane thing with with Archer and him.
Right. Yeah. I forgot about that. All right. So that is that. Double or Nothing is this Sunday. Jeff is currently scheduled tentatively to be on the post-game show here on the Fight Game Media Network with Jeremy Feinstein and Garrett Gonzalez on the Scrum. So that'll be fun. I hopefully will watch it. Garrett says I have to, because we have this new show we do on Mondays where we recap the weekend. So it's going to kind of suck if I haven't watched the pay-per-view, but I'll do my best. There's a lot of shit on TV this weekend.
There's a lot of wrestling on TV this weekend.
That's right. Too. And most of it's shit. No, I mean, because I watch everything. So I got a TNA pay-per-view to watch. I got 2 WWE ones. I've got New Japan has a couple shows this weekend. I think the finals of the Super Juniors. So, like, I don't know. I'll try, but I can't guarantee nothing. It's Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, I think, is when the pre-show starts. So check it out. Get a VPN, order it on Triller. What do you got for plugs, Jeff?
Shake Them Ropes coming out later this week. Yes. It's a big weekend for wrestling for some reason. WWE does Saturday night's main event. NXT doing Battleground. AEW doing Double or Nothing. We will preview them all while doing the lazy river of wrestling criticism about this week's show. I actually thought the Raw Go Home was quite good, too. Don't have the Vader Club choice yet, but Chris has been on another Dan Severn kick, so we'll see if he goes with that. But that should drop. I don't know. We're playing tentatively to record Friday, but I go in for my allergy testing on Friday, so I'm say a little small prayer, but it'll be in a controlled environment. But I'm gonna probably have to go into some mild anaphylaxis, so I'm kind of nervous about it. But Friday, sometime we should record, and it should be in your podcatchers either Friday or Saturday. Shake them ropes or the Voices of Wrestling mega feed.
Awesome. I'd be remiss if I didn't plug the Mel and Sam Power Bombshell show, the pre-show on Sunday. They usually go at, I believe, 1 Eastern. So you can check that out. It is one of the most popular shows on our YouTube channel, maybe the most some weeks. So yeah, they've been doing a lot of great stuff on that show. So check that out. They always do an awesome pre-show. And me, I'll be back next on Monday with Garrett, the new show. Can't even remember what we called it. Double Take, I think, is what we called it, where we just give our takes. And so we'll talk about whatever went on this weekend. And there's a lot going on. Matt, I'll answer Matt's question here. Does TNA feel any different since WWE partnership and they fired a bunch of people? I don't know if it's different, but it is kind of cool seeing people show up on TNA. And I will say Trick Williams has been a super highlight on TNA as a heel. He had the best line that I've heard in a while ago. And I'm going to try to remember it here because I don't have it written down in front of me. It was, I'm the guy with 3% body fat who will take your woman just like that. That's a great heel line.
That was a great line.
Yeah.
No, the weirdness comes when ex WWE people come over to
back to NXT and they're
back to NXT and they have different names, and it's like Ash by Elegance, and they're talking about Ash by Elegance instead of Dana Brooke or
Nick
Elijah.
Nemeth.
Elijah instead of Elias.
And the fans just won't have any of it. They're just walk with Elias. And when no way they're not chanting Dolph at Nick Nemeth if he ever shows up. So but it is kind of fun.
I still think we're eventually getting Tessa Blanchard in NXT, but that's me.
100%. There's like zero possibility, and she's going to get some pretty nasty.
Jordan Grace, that too.
All right, so for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine, and this has been the Dynamite Show.
Enjoy your long.